Chad HD Show, News Talk KFYO. We go to the phones. Republican strategist MattMackowiak joins us. Matt, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, Chad. How you doing?
Doing all right. I guess we'll start off with what's happening out in Georgia. President Trump took a trip out there this weekend, and he and it sounds like most Republicans now are saying the right things, which is, hey, Georgia Republicans, you might be unhappy with what's going on, but you need to get out and vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the stakes are pretty high. I mean, if the Democrats have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, they're going to be able to do a hell of a lot. And the Senate is particularly important because it's where judges are confirmed. It's where cabinet nominees are confirmed, and you have control of the floor. And so, the Democrats need to win both seats to get a 50-50 tie, which the vice president would then break the tie, so they would have the majority on the most narrow basis possible. Look, it was a bit of a self-destructive couple weeks there, where some figures were saying, "Hey, don't vote. It's it's not worth it," or the system's doesn't ensure integrity. That's obviously a losing strategy, both literally and figuratively. And now it's clear that both President Trump, his campaign, his son Don Jr., really the entire Republican Party is fully 100% behind winning these two races. And so I do think the president's trip down there to Valdosta was helpful. I watched a good amount of his speech. He really did make the case for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, and made clear what the stakes were and that his supporters needed to get out and vote ahead of the January 5th runoffs. So I think you're going to see him make a couple more trips, and you're certainly seeing a number of other national figures travel to Georgia. I saw a story this morning that we featured in the Must Read Texas Morning email that showed that Ted Cruz is out there and Dan Crenshaw, a number of other Texans, including on the Democratic side as well. So, look, these are close races. You're having hundreds of millions of dollars spent in Georgia over about a 6-week period, and the Democrats appear to have about 1 million absentee ballots that they're going to be turning in. So Republicans have their work cut out for them. I still think we're likely to win both seats, but it's going to be very, very close.
Yeah, I thought, and I read this, I can't remember which publication had it, but Trump did bring up the issue of absentee ballots and did say, go ahead and start mailing those in. As soon as you get them, start mailing them in. A very different sounding Trump from the national election when it came to mail-in ballots.
Yeah, very different message. And, look, you can't concede on mail ballots. I mean, I work on campaigns every cycle, and, we have a strategy on mail ballots every single race that we're involved in. It's one of two ways people vote. And for some people, they like voting by mail. And so, again, it's sort of self-destructive or self-defeating, maybe is the better term, to basically concede that method of voting. And I think the Republicans learned their lesson on that this election cycle with consequences most directly for the president. So that doesn't mean you can't have questions about mail ballots. You can't try to improve election laws in states. You can't highlight irregularities that.
I think we lost him. Yeah. Go ahead and try to get Matt back on. All right, we got Matt back on the show.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Georgia not conceding on mail-in ballots. Let's go into the whole mail-in ballot issue. The state of Texas announcing today that they're suing those swing states when it comes to the election. You still have the Trump folks that are fighting in the courts, but the courts, Matt, it seems like they're losing on all these battles.
Yeah, there's still, I think, a couple sort of Hail Mary passes available. It appears there is going to be a Supreme Court, case and ruling in Pennsylvania where Associate Justice Sam Alito has accepted, a hearing on it and is, I think, now moved up the deadline. I want to say maybe it's early this week for both sides to present their written arguments. And then I'm trying to remember, I want to say Arizona's Supreme Court, I think, just accepted a case yesterday. So, but you're right. I mean, look, the left likes to celebrate the fact that the Trump legal team is 1 for 38 or something like that with all the cases. First of all, they haven't had 38 cases. A lot of those were not where they were the plaintiff. They were a voter somewhere, or a party somewhere, or someone else.
Yeah.
And in 80% of the cases where they've had dismissals, they were dismissed for standing, not for anything related to the arguments made. In order to have standing, you have to be able to prove to a court that you've been directly affected. And so for whatever reason, sometimes people sue and they don't have standing. So it would be like suing something that didn't affect you directly. But that said, they have lost a number of their challenges. They've challenged some states to uncertify, or I guess decertify, their election results. They've failed there. They've failed in Michigan. They've failed in Wisconsin. Up to this point, they've failed in Georgia. They still have a couple, basically, again, Hail Marys out there, but it really doesn't look like this is going to happen, even if somehow Pennsylvania decides, through the U.S. Supreme Court, to invalidate whatever it is, 700,000 mail ballots that were cast against existing state election law. Pennsylvania's not enough. I mean, he would still need, I think even Pennsylvania and Arizona is not enough for him to get to 270. So it's a very, very, very difficult path at this point. Again, I don't have a problem with them making legal arguments in court and pursuing their legal options. What I do have a problem with is sort of throwing cheap allegations around without evidence. And that's what you're seeing, some of these press conferences, that's what you're seeing on Twitter. Things, go viral. I've fallen victim to it myself at times. It'll say, here's how many dead people voted, here's how many people illegally voted, here's how many people voted twice. If you have actual evidence that proves that, I'm very interested in seeing that. If you just want to throw numbers around, that undermines, confidence in the election, and I think it's really, really unfair to do that unless you have actual evidence. So that's the concern I have. And some of these lawsuits where they have been suing themselves and when they've been making these challenges, they've apparently not been presenting evidence. They've been presenting modeling, which is basically extrapolations of data. It's not data itself. So that's a problem. I mean, if you're saying a certain number of dead people voted, you better be able to show that they voted. If you're saying no, it was 1 out of 14 people in a certain county, and so that means we had this many, hundreds or thousands, that's not good enough in a court of law.
Visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for your newsletter and also hear about your podcast.
Yeah, the newsletter, which we produce every weekday morning, is called Must Read Texas. We take all the top news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email, and deliver it to about 20,000 email inboxes around the state of Texas. Every weekday morning, you can sign up for a free one-week trial at mustreadtexas.com. The podcast is called Mac on Politics. It's available in the iTunes Store, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and on Spotify. Most recent 2 episodes are with Mike Murphy, the anti-Trump Republican consultant, but a smart political analyst, but also with Eric Erickson, the longtime conservative activist and radio host in Georgia, where we talk about the Georgia Senate runoffs.
Very good. All right, Matt, as always, appreciate your time, and we'll visit with you again next week.
Look forward to it. Take care.
All right, thank you. That's Matt Mackowiak here on the Chad Hasty Show. News Talk KFYO.